Buying or selling a car. Advanced Algebra with Financial Applications, Lesson 5-2. I am sure all of you have thought about buying a car. You've probably thought about the kind of car you're going to buy, the things it's going to have, the things that it's not going to have, what it'll be able to do, where you'll be able to go, all those kinds of things. But what is really important? What is one of the most important things when you're thinking about buying a car? Is that you don't just go right into it and just go one day and buy one. You really need to stop and do some research. One of the best places is to go on the internet. There's tons of information about used cars. One of the best places you can go is Kelley Blue Book and a lot of other places. But for this, I went to actually yahoo.autos, and one of the things that I was interested in what was the average price. So I looked at a car that maybe you would look at it for as a first car. I thought it was a relatively good car for a first car. And I have a 2003 Toyota Camry. They're reliable, they get good gas mileage, they're not terribly expensive, they're insurable. There's a lot of good things about a Toyota Camry for a first car. So there's a picture of one, and I went to Yahoo Autos and looked up Toyota Camrys, and I found out that there are a whole bunch of them for sale right now in this area. And they range for all kinds of prices. But these are all ones that are for sale right now, or at least a couple days ago when I looked it up. And you can look those up too to find one that would be good for you. But that's a lot of information. So how do I make it into something that is useful? Well, one way to do that is to find the mean. The mean, as you probably remember, is the sum of the prices divided by the number of prices, or the number of cars that we're looking at this point. So I did that. I took all those prices and lined them up here. So here's our Toyota Camry. Here are all our prices. And I added them up, and I had 10 of them. So I divided by 10, and I found that the average is $8,584. So if I would go look at some of these cars, I would probably expect to pay about $8,500 for one. And I certainly would go, if I were going to go look at this guy that's selling his for $10,000, and I would say, you know, I like this car, but I'm not going to pay more than $8,500. So it's really a good tool for you to have to go negotiate if you know what the car is really selling for. And one of the ways to find it is by finding the mean. So that's our Toyota Camry. Well, you know, Toyota Camrys are great cars, but they're kind of, boring. So I thought I would look at another car that maybe you'd be more interested in. And I found one. I'm looking at a Hummer. And this is in 2008 Hummer H2 with all the bells and whistles. Well, believe it or not, there's even several of these for sale in the Orlando area. And so I'm going to do the same thing. Here's my cars for sale. I'm going to add them up and divide. There's 5 of them. Add them up, divide. Oh, that is our alert. Are you taking Cornell notes? Do you have a heading? Questions? A summary? If you aren't taking Cornell notes, get out that paper right now. Back to our message. So here is our Hummer. Here is the average price of the Hummer, $49,584. But wait a minute, if you look at all the prices individually, you'll realize that this one's almost $50,000, and these, most of them are in the 40s. Something's weird about that. I bet it's this guy that's almost $70,000. This is a time when it might be more to our benefit to find the median. To find the median, we take our prices, list them from lowest to highest. Here we go. And determine what's in the middle. So I have 5 prices here, and the one in the middle is $44,999. That is a lot different than that's $45,000 versus $50,000. You'd be kind of silly going to one of these guys and saying, hey, I'm about to pay $50,000 for a Hummer, when the average is more like $45,000. When this happens, when the mean and the median aren't the same as in our Hummer, this is called a skew. A skew is when the median and the mean are not equal. For our Hummer, the mean was almost $50,000, but our median was much closer to $45,000. That's $5,000 that you could be putting in your pocket. So this is really important to realize. If you have skewed data, it is much more appropriate to use a median than a mean. Some other information that we need to be looking at is the range of the data. Range, and I think you remember probably, is the high value versus the low value. So we're going to go back to our Camry information for a minute and look at what we've got here. We've got the range. Let's put those in order. Once again, we're going to put them from lowest to highest. We have $12,979. That's the high. And then $10,000, even, $9,096. There's an $8,000 in here. $7,995. $7,995. I'm assuming those are 2 different cars. $7,988. Oops, there's a $7,999. That's in the middle here. Gotta put that in there. Give me a second. Here we go. And 2 more. $7,300 and the bargain down here at $6,490. I don't know if you can see all this on my screen. Anyway, if I look at the range, I'm going to look at the highest value and subtract the lowest value. They are all in this range. So the range of the data is a measure of disbursement, whereas mean and median were both measures of central tendency, where it tends to be in the middle. But this is a measurement of disbursement. How widely dispersed is our data? So range is 12,979 minus 6,490. 12,979 minus 6,490. That is going to give us our range. Now, the quartiles is another measure of disbursement, but quartiles break the range into 4 separate pieces. Quarts, 4, and each one of them is 25% of our range. So I look at these and I look at 25%. Now this is a little bit harder to do just because it's 10 pieces of data. But if I look at here,